Hello, it is February 21st, 2015, which means it's the night before the Oscar ceremony. Those of you that know me know that I usually publish an essay the day of the Oscars, sharing my thoughts, my predictions, my reflections on the year in film. Unfortunately, I don't have enough time to get it together this year, so I thought I'd make a video. This is going to be somewhat unpolished, but I really want to share what it's been like seeing everything the last year. I think there's been a lot of really good work, some diversity in the work, and a really big question or two going into tomorrow night's awards. So this is just what I think, and I know it's pretty last minute before the ceremony. But if you have thoughts, leave them in the comments, and if not, um, this will be a document proving how on point I was or how absolutely clueless I was. So here we go. I'm going to start with the documentary category. I suggest watching this with the nominees in front of you because I'm not always going to go through every single one. Only piece I've seen in the documentary category this year is Citizen 4, which is very, very likely our winner tomorrow night. A bit surprising that Life Itself didn't make it in. Most people thought that Roger Ebert's the affection for him rather within the industry would get it in there and make it the big opponent to Citizen 4. But without that in the competition, I think it's a pretty clear race. I did like the movie. I'm just beginning to really appreciate documentaries the last several years, and I thought it was very well put together. And it's a very important topic. It certainly made me feel more informed and got me to think about it on a level that I hadn't. So I'll be glad to see it win, and I hope I can get around to watching some of the others. I've heard some good things. Animated short, only one I've seen is Feast, which played in front of Big Hero 6. Really good, really sweet, original. It's probably going to win tomorrow. Disney does really well here. Get a Horse won last year. If you remember the short that played in front of Frozen. And I can't speak to any of the others, but maybe I'll get to see them sometime. This brings us to animated feature, which has Big Hero 6 facing off against How to Train Your Dragon 2. And I am going with How to Train Your Dragon 2 as the likely winner. It's won some really important precursors. That said, I think I was disappointed by it. I really enjoyed the original. I thought it was something excitingly new. The best thing DreamWorks had done since Shrek. And the second piece, it wasn't bad. I thought the visuals were amazing, but the story wasn't captivating to me. I felt like the stakes weren't high enough. I didn't feel like the climax was engaging. I don't like spoilers, so I won't get into too much. But what happens to Hiccup towards the end, it just felt somewhat cliche and not what I was expecting from the writers. But I'm looking forward to the third one. I think there might be a fourth on the way, but hopefully they keep doing strong work. And Big Hero 6 I really enjoyed too. I didn't think it was as strong as Frozen was last year, but it was a good piece. As far as a Marvel story goes, it was one of my very favorite Marvel films I've seen. A few of my friends know that I'm not too big on that kind of storytelling, but I thought what Disney did with the property was very engaging and had a lot of heart. And come on, Baymax is just a really great character. Okay, so that's animated feature. Let's go over to. I don't want to get to the top 8 too quickly. Let's go to the sound categories. Sound editing. Probably going to American Sniper. War movies do really well. I'm trying to think of what else is nominated there. I thought the work in American Sniper was pretty strong. Technically very excellent. I felt like I was in the world, especially towards the end. One of the final sequences with the dust storm was very well put together. Sound mixing, I think, is a little less clear. I'm going with Whiplash. Part of that might be my bias. Whiplash is my number 2 film of the year, at least right now, and I was just enthralled and immersed in Andrew's world, his conservatory life, and everything about it. I thought it was very strong. Now it could go to Birdman if Birdman ends up having a really big night. Um, I could really see that happening as well. Visual effects, much more straightforward. Interstellar's got this. Earlier in the year, there was a sense that it could do really, really well, break into the top categories. That didn't happen, but I think there's enough support for it. And if you've seen it, I think you know what I mean. The what they create practically. I mean, Christopher Nolan. One of the great things about him is when he works with his visual effects supervisors, he goes for very practical technique, and I think it works. And I was blown away by Interstellar. Aesthetically, fantastic. And that takes us over to cinematography, which is looking like it's going to go to Gravity. Emmanuel Lubezki's second in a row after winning Gravity last year. Probably deserved. One of the strongest aspects of Birdman, certainly. At first, I wasn't sure exactly what to make of it, but upon reflecting on the film, if it's about Reagan trying to go for this performance, this piece of art that he hasn't been able to create as Birdman, this new piece of theater, presenting it very theatrically as a continuous story, works really well, and it brings you inside his head, which I think is one of the chief objectives of the movie, at least from my perception. Film editing. Notably here, Birdman is not nominated, so if it won Best Picture, it would be breaking history in a way that hasn't happened in a few decades, I'm pretty sure. So that's something to keep in mind. It could go a few different ways. You've got Whiplash, which is really well put together. It found its way in here. American Sniper, editing pretty good. It might get some people's attention, but odds are this is going to Boyhood. I mean, you take 12 years of footage, splice it together, and it seems like one family's life. Truly, it's just an accomplishment. So seamless, so fluid, but it seems so well composed, and you just float along like the river of time, just like these characters do. And I think that's greatly to Sandra Adair's credit, and I really hope she wins tomorrow. I'm trying to think if I've skipped anything. We've got the 8 big categories still to do, but I want to get around to everything before we start on those. Some of those are very locked, have been for a while, and a few of them are very up in the air. So there's a lot to talk about. Let's do costume design. Inherent Vice surprisingly made it in here. Haven't seen that yet. Looking forward to it. You've got Disney represented, Into the Woods, Maleficent. Mr. Turner's also here. I've only seen Into the Woods and Grand Budapest. I thought Into the Woods really, really well done. Colleen Atwood does really strong work. But this is probably going to Grand Budapest. I mean, a Wes Anderson film to get as many nominations as it did is pretty extraordinary, and it's not winning picture or director. So I think there are a lot of people that really love it, and I think that support is going to show down here as well as in production design, where it is facing off against. Hold on. It is facing off. I'm on the Oscar website and it's not showing up. I can't remember who it's facing off against, but yeah, it's probably winning production design too. Those two awards don't always align, but I think Grand Budapest, the design is I'm going to get into Grand Budapest later, but the design is very well done, and I think it's going to get a lot of love tomorrow night. Original song, yeah, that's a fun category. Fun as in Glory is probably going to win, which I think is a very deserved win. Its competition is Everything is Awesome from the Lego Movie, but surprisingly Lego Movie was snubbed and animated, so I don't think it's going to find the support to overthrow Selma. I'm going to be very happy to see Common and John Legend take home um, a trophy tomorrow night. It was the perfect send off at the end of the movie. I think Selma is a biopic that is timeless and immediate in a way that very few biopics are. And I think Glory is a very good encapsulation of that quality of the work. Um, I wish Selma showed up in more places. I'm going to get into that later in the video, but um, I'm glad it's going to win original song at least. Original score, probably going to The Theory of Everything. That score has done very well in the precursors. Grand Budapest might be able to overthrow it. I mean, I am not a Wes Anderson fan, but that music is still in my head a little bit. Theory of Everything. It's been a while since I saw the movie, but pretty conventional biopic, British biopic scoring, like Imitation Game. I'll discuss later, but the score it kind of sounds like the King's Speech. But if I'm remembering correctly, the Theory of Everything composer hasn't gotten this level of attention before for his work, so I'm glad for that, if nothing else. All right, it looks like we're ready to move on. Before we do, I'll just say that I have not seen any of the live action shorts. I haven't seen any of the documentary shorts, so unfortunately, I cannot comment on those. Um, but I imagine that there's some very good work, and I certainly encourage um, people to go out and seek what some unknown filmmakers are putting out. I'm really into this stuff. There's great work on the bigger indie and the commercial level, but um, the smaller or the lesser known filmmakers in the short categories and people that weren't nominated, please just go out and support the art of cinema. Yeah. All right, so here we go. Let's start with the screenplay categories. Adapted, we've got American Sniper, Imitation Game, Inherent Vice. That was something I missed going into nomination morning. The Theory of Everything, and Whiplash. Really hated to see Gone Girl missing here. I thought it might even be my winner because I would put Whiplash in original, so I think Gone Girl would be my winner here. Um, I haven't read the book yet, but the screenplay, the dialogue, like the spark between Amy and Nick whenever they were together, both in the past and eventually in the present, just so compelling. And the the layers, how they're peeled back, how things are revealed, and of course David Fincher did great things with it. But I think just on paper, it's such a strongly composed screenplay. But hey, that's not here, so we're looking at really Imitation Game versus Whiplash. Like I said, Whiplash should be an original. There's kind of a controversy over its category placement if you want to look that up. I haven't had as much time to research as I would like to, but again, this may be my bias showing, but I think Whiplash is what I'm going to go with here. Harvey Weinstein last year, it seemed to indicate he might be losing his touch a little bit. I'm sure he's a very skillful guy. He can focus on multiple things, but a lot of his energy is in Finding Neverland, going to Broadway right now, and I think his campaigning for Imitation Game has been a little on the nose. I don't think it's going to work quite as they had hoped. I don't see Imitation Game winning anywhere else. And for it to just win such a major award as adapted screenplay, hey, it's happened before. Things win screenplay and nothing else. But Whiplash, I think, is the definition of the little indie that could. When I saw it back in October, I was really hoping it would get some attention, and it has. And Damien Chazelle not being a director, I think, might just help here. There are people that really admire what he accomplished, and it'd be really nice to see him recognized in this category. Now we'll swing over to original screenplay, which is Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance, versus Boyhood, versus Foxcatcher, versus The Grand Budapest Hotel, versus Nightcrawler. Selma is the big missing nominee here. Ava DuVernay revised the script by, I believe his name is Paul Webb, and did not get a writing credit on the film. And there was a lot of well, controversy about that, and there's an argument that that's what kept it out here. Um, I think it could be that. I think it's also Paramount botching the campaign for Selma, which is an absolute shame. Um, I don't know. It very well could be Nightcrawler that would be missing. This is Nightcrawler's only nomination. I really liked it. I wasn't sure what I thought about the final act, but I just loved the concept. Jake Gyllenhaal was certainly really strong in it, and I'll get into that in Best Actor. But Foxcatcher, I was glad to see it. It's my third favorite this year, so it's nice to see it here. I used to think Boyhood possibly was going to take this. It's my winner in the category, um, but this is coming down to Birdman versus the Grand Budapest Hotel, and you're looking at two scenarios. If it's Birdman's big night, of course it's going to win here. If Linklater wins director, this may be where they want to recognize Inarritu. They could also give him both. Um, but I'm going to go with Grand Budapest Hotel. It makes sense as an original screenplay nominee. There's clearly a lot of respect for Wes Anderson now. He's also nominated in Best Director. He his aesthetic is something I'm still trying to engage. I've only seen Grand Budapest and Fantastic Mr. Fox, both of which were not my cup of tea. But I definitely admire his such strong sense of his own style, and Grand Budapest is I can't really compare it to any other artist's work, and it's certainly inspired by other things, but um, I think its ingenuity is going to be is that the right word? I don't know, but I think its inventiveness is going to be appreciated tomorrow night. Um, Again, could be very wrong, could be Birdman. This takes us to supporting actress, which has been a runaway all season. We've got Patricia Arquette in the lead, facing off against Meryl Streep, Emma Stone, Keira Knightley, and Laura Dern, who surprisingly to me bumped out Jessica Chastain, who I really liked in A Most Violent Year. Jessica Chastain is one of my favorite actresses working right now, but um, there was a little bit of talk earlier in the year that maybe Meryl Streep could win her fourth here. I think her Stay With Me and Into the Woods is possibly the best sequence of that film, but Patricia Arquette is outstanding in Boyhood. I've seen the film 4 times now, and one thing that stood out on this last viewing was these shots of as Mason gets older, especially when he's a teenager, he'll go off to a friend's house or something, and you just see her watching him go, and the way that she's able to build that experience until that final scene before he goes off, and she's doing this like each of these scenes was filmed a year apart roughly, and I think that reflects such a strong sense on her part of her character. And you look in the early part of the film, whenever she's reading to Samantha and Mason, how comfortable she is with those kids, and I mean, I believe she's their mom when I'm watching it, and it's not. She gets all these nuances of parenthood. It's not just reading to the kids, loving them. It's sometimes you're mad, sometimes you're frustrated, sometimes she's screaming at Samantha, and um, I have a lot of respect for what she did, and I think she really deserves it, and I'm going to be happy to see her win tomorrow night. Supporting actor, J.K. Simmons in the lead against Ethan Hawke, Mark Ruffalo, Edward Norton, and Robert Duvall for the judge. J.K. Simmons has got this. He's been winning all season. My winner as well in the category. Loved Whiplash. His character is so fascinating because on one level he's so reprehensible, but yet his ideology is. I think Damien Chazelle might, at least from his perspective, disagree, but I think the film vindicates his ideology. But there's so much humanness. I think it's not just human to loving is very human, but also his passion. The character's passion is such a human thing, and I think J.K. really played that to a T, and his give and take with Miles Teller as Andrew throughout everything they go through, fascinating. My second favorite here would actually be Ethan Hawke. I was championing him early in the season, over the summer, saying that he should be recognized. I think that his work is as strong as Patricia Arquette's. It's a very different character, but you see how much this guy, who I think in other actors' hands this wouldn't shine through. You see how much he loves his kids. Um, how you get the great car scene on the way to the baseball game, and how he he's trying so hard, yet he's trying hard in his own natural way, which was something really beautiful to witness. And then, my gosh, I just realized I've probably given away a lot of about Boyhood, but I'll put that in the notes, of the video, because I think it's something that should be experienced for, oneself. But I'll just mention the scene with him and, Patricia Arquette as Olivia at the end of the film at Mason's graduation party, and he says something to her to the effect of, "You did a really good job with them." And, of course, her thank you is very well executed, but what it takes for for his character to tell her that, I think he really gets at. And other actors would just throw that out there, let it be this like touching, connecting moment, but you see what's at stake for him, and how what he's come to realize and how he's grown, which I think is one of the major themes of the film, and for him to nail that is quite a feat. Edward Norton was interesting in Birdman. I think that script, the characters aren't quite as nuanced as I would like them to be. But maybe that's not what that film is. Mark Ruffalo, he was always the one guaranteed acting nominee from Foxcatcher. And going into, I love Foxcatcher, but personally, I was just much more riveted by Carell and Tatum. That said, I would probably still nominate Mark Ruffalo here on my ballot. How he interacts with his brother, versus how he interacts with DuPont, very clear. I really liked his performance. Haven't seen Robert Duvall. A lot of people haven't. The Judge, I have not heard too great things about, but for completion's sake, I will probably get around to that eventually. I think, yeah, that's everyone in Best Supporting Actor. Now we can go on to Best Actor, which flipped in a pretty major way a month or so ago. You've got Steve Carell, who I was so happy to see get in for Foxcatcher. Personally, I would probably be putting him in supporting, but better here than not at all. Gosh, there were so many people competing for this category that I'm trying to make sure I'm not saying that any of the snubbed people got in. You've got Steve Carell, Michael Keaton, of course, Eddie Redmayne, Benedict Cumberbatch, and Bradley Cooper for American Sniper, getting his third in a row, which is really impressive. Michael Keaton was in the lead for the longest time. You know, it's such a meta meta performance, which is something I'm really interested in. This is a very specific character, right? Like, he's an actor, which is something that may not be accessible to everyone. But I think that Michael Keaton gets at the insecurity, I mean, one of the good things about the script is it's very much about him as a family man, and his scenes with Samantha, played by Emma Stone, are very well done. And you see the history of their relationship. That's just one of the many facets of his performance, which is high on my list in the actor category. I think my top three are some order of him, Oyelowo, and Carell. Not Carell. I can't remember who my third is. But speaking of Oyelowo, I would love to have seen him here. He was so great. I would have liked to have seen Gyllenhaal somehow. Both great. There's just not enough room here for all the performances. Eddie Redmayne, let's go to him. He's really taking off. Great, probably the best part about The Theory of Everything. Physically, emotionally, his relationship with Jane, played by Felicity Jones, his passion for his work all shine through so strongly, and I think he seems like a pretty level-headed guy, and good for him. I don't think he would be I wouldn't vote for him, but I'm not going to mind seeing him win. Benedict Cumberbatch, I prefer Imitation Game to Theory of Everything. Actually, I thought that Imitation Game, yeah, it's a pretty straightforward biopic, but the ending of the film, it gets at something really important. It and the depth of what how deep it goes with that is something that I haven't seen a lot of other pieces like it do. I think that, and it does so in such a, at least the final scene, I think, is such a subtle ending note, such a not on the nose way to end it, which really worked for me. Imitation Game is right on the door of my top 10, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, this is probably going to Eddie Redmayne, but if Birdman has a big night, maybe Michael Keaton. Best Actress, we've got Julianne Moore, Rosamund Pike, Reese Witherspoon, Marion Cotillard for 2 Days, One Night, and Felicity Jones for The Theory of Everything. Only one I haven't seen here is Marion Cotillard. I really hope to get around to that soon. I really like her work. Really liked Reese Witherspoon. I thought what she did in Wild was so marvelous. Just the gamut of psychological states that she took Cheryl through, and yet so effortlessly. Felicity Jones, probably on my lower end of the category. I thought she was strong, but really facing some tough competition. Rosamund Pike, amazing in Gone Girl. So despicable in a way, but so very real. Like what I see in her is, I haven't known someone exactly like her, but I've seen her in various people in the world, and bold. I mean, to pull off something like that so unabashedly, um, fun in a way, fun to see. Um, I feel like there's a lot more that could be said about her in that movie, but time. Julianne Moore is. I haven't seen Still Alice yet, but she's getting this. She's been winning all season, and I loved her. And The Kids Are All Right, so it's good to see her winning for this. Never won. She's due. And she's a BU alum, which is really cool for me. That's one of the reasons I'm cheering for her tomorrow night. Very proud to call her a fellow Terrier. Wow, we're almost done. Best Director. This is when I get a little scared. I've been doing this since 2011's ceremony, and I don't think director and picture have ever been this up in the air, at least from my perspective and that of many people in this. You've got Bennett Miller for Foxcatcher, which was a surprise, one that I was happy to see, but a surprise nonetheless. Morton Tildum for The Imitation Game, who probably shouldn't be in here. Probably should be replaced by either David Fincher, Damien Chazelle, Ava DuVernay. Next, you've got Wes Anderson, The Grand Budapest Hotel, Alejandro González Iñárritu for Birdman, and Richard Linklater for Boyhood. It's Linklater or Iñárritu. Flip a coin, and you'll have your who you should go with. I have a coin right here. That's what I could do right now. I've been going back and forth on this for the last few days, and very, very stressful because I have a lot invested in this. I liked Birdman. It's my number 7, but Boyhood's my number 1. It's so singular. I've never experienced anything like it. I think Linklater directing isn't just doing innovative things with the camera. Directing can be the way that you put a story together on the page with your actors workshopping it. The songs that he chooses to use, and the way that like, it's not enough for the film just to capture its time, but he nailed that. And I think one of the things that does work in the film's favor is it is so the 2000s and the early 20 teens, and that was the way he did that was remarkable. I think there's so much of him as a person in this film. I mean, literally, you've got Lorelai playing Samantha, but um, he bore a lot, I think, and I've only seen School of Rock. I'm really looking forward to getting into his other work, including the Before trilogy. Um, I haven't seen any of Inarritu's other films, but yeah, it's time. After a year of prognostication, it's time to go on the record and claim that I have an idea, which I guess I do. I do. My heart really wants to say Linklater. It's kind of hard to figure out how picture and director are going to correlate or not. Um, as I'm saying this to you right now, I literally don't know what I'm going to say. If we go back through this, if you go back through this video, the only thing I've gone on record with saying Birdman will win is cinematography, with it having a possibility in actor and original screenplay, and probably sound mixing too. Boyhood, I've said, will win editing and supporting actress, which are both really big awards. So I am going to go with Richard Linklater here. And this is going to be explained further in the next category, but I just think that the word accomplishment is so associated with what he did. Um, Birdman, like I said, might get actor, might get original screenplay, which would go to Inarritu. Inarritu is much more likely to win there than Linklater. So, um, in case Boyhood doesn't win Best Picture, I think this would be a very what's the word? Looking back in history, I think this will be, well, it wasn't too robbed. I think, and I mean, people disagree with me. Some people think it's not going to stand the test of time. I think it definitely will. Um, but I say Linklater, go with your gut. Could go either way, just like Best Picture, which is what I really live for, even if it's done by the year's end. I think it's so great to honor nominees. I wish there would have been nine. I before nominations, I kept thinking, is Foxcatcher going to make it? And nomination morning, it got those great noms. It got two of the actors. It got director, makeup and hairstyling, and the screenplay. And then it missed Best Picture. And I wanted both Selma and Ed to get in, but Selma got in with just original song, which was just odd. So somehow Foxcatcher missed, but the films that we're looking at are American Sniper, Boyhood, Birdman, The Grand Budapest Hotel, The Theory of Everything, The Imitation Game, Whiplash, and oh god, what Selma? Yes, Selma. Wow. Throughout the year, I thought Interstellar once had a shot. I thought Unbroken was once in the mix for it. Selma, I really thought got up to my number two at one point, but it's come down to Birdman versus Boyhood, and most people are going with Birdman. It won PGA, DGA, SAG, whereas Boyhood has BAFTA, Critics' Choice, and the Globe, the Drama Globe. Speaking of the Globes, Birdman lost the Comedy Globe to Grand Budapest Hotel, and sometimes neither of the Globe winners win Best Picture, but I can't help but pay attention to that, and maybe that's just because I love Boyhood so much, and I really wanted to pull this out. Um, Simply put, I'm probably crazy, but I'm going with Boyhood again here. I'm going to be wrong, probably about at least one. I feel like with going with Boyhood for both picture and director, I'll get at least one of them right. I really wish and hope it'll be both. Probably not going to happen, but that's the most logical thing for me. With cinematography as my only guaranteed win for Birdman, because people will predict Inarritu and director, but it's not very sure. It's not a very high likelihood, and my point is just that I cannot predict Birdman for Best Picture, much as it makes sense if I'm only saying it's going to win cinematography. So what I'm going to be paying attention to tomorrow night is Does Michael Keaton pull it off? Does Birdman prevail in screenplay? And if so, then I'm going to realize that the fix is in. So yeah, this was really great. I'm happy I was able to share it with you. Hope you got something out of it. Uh, I would really love to keep talking about my thoughts on different films. I was only able to brush the surface, I think, throughout this, but I'm going to put in the info box links to some pages on my Letterboxd account. If you don't know what Letterboxd is, I would highly recommend it. It's a great film website for film lovers. I have some lists of my top 10 films of 2014, and of which I've seen maybe 35 or so, and my top 25 films of the 20 teens, which has been a wonderful decade so far. It's the decade that I really fell in love with film, and it's that list is constantly changing, constantly evolving. Will be for another 5 years. I have a lot of affection for it, and I would love for you to look at it, share your thoughts, give me what you like, what you didn't like, what surprises you, um, what give me some experiences that you've had in the theater over the last few years. I love this stuff. I really do. I guess I'll touch on next year a little bit. We've got Joy by David O. Russell, which I'm so stoked for. It's filming in the Boston area right now. You've also got Bradley Cooper, Robert De Niro, and some other strong actors in the ensemble. I love Silver Linings. I love American Hustle. Need to revisit The Fighter, but David O. Russell is my favorite filmmaker working today. Such a strong director screenwriter, and love Jennifer Lawrence, love Bradley Cooper. I have a lot of faith in it. I on a personal level, like I said, I'm excited, but I thought American Hustle was going to be David O. Russell's. I never get over that rhyme, but I just thought that was going to be when he would get recognized. Of course, that film infamously went 0 for 10. Joy may not get 10 nominations, but I think it's probably going to be very high and will certainly be in the Best Picture hunt. With David O. Russell winning, I would not bet against him winning at least one Oscar next year. Maybe just one, but if he loses both again, it's going to be shocking and honestly disappointing for me. We're also looking at St. James Place, directed by Spielberg, starring Tom Hanks, about, I think, the Cold War era. Tom Hanks plays a spy. That should be pretty interesting. Martin Scorsese's Silence has been pushed back, unfortunately, but I'm sure the wait will be worth it, seeing his follow-up to The Wolf of Wall Street. Trying to remember. My mind has been so on this year. Okay, Hateful Eight by Quentin Tarantino with Sam Jackson and Channing Tatum, Bruce Dern, another Western, but I'm so glad Tarantino's making it. I was disheartened whenever he was planning on not doing it because of the screenplay leak, but I haven't read it. I don't want to until I see the film, and I loved Django. I really loved Django. So I'm excited to see how Tarantino evolves, what he gets at with this new work. He's one of my favorites. Actually, not a Reservoir Dogs fan, but Tarantino is one of my favorites, and I think I mean, it's already been proven with Pulp Fiction. He's going to go down in the books, and he said something like he wants to make 10 and then be done, 10 films. So Hateful Eight is either number 9. I think it's number 9. So I'll respect whatever he does, but I would like as many films as he wants to make. I'll go see them. The Revenant, I may be pronouncing that incorrectly, but it's Inarritu's film next year with DiCaprio and Hardy. Maybe Leo will finally get that Oscar. Who knows? I'm sure that'll be a big topic of conversation next year at this time. I mean, he's got to at least get the nomination, right? I think his Jordan Belfort in Wolf of Wall Street is his crowning achievement. So if he could top that, that would be something to see. But I'm certainly very interested and will be seeing it as soon as I can. I know there are films that I'm forgetting, and that I would probably love to talk about if they were in my head right now. Star Wars Episode 7 will be interesting. I still need to see all the Star Wars films. I've only seen three all the way through, and the other three I've seen bits and pieces from, so maybe I'll be able to do that as preparation for the seventh, which probably good to be a little reserved but about it, but it could be really awesome, so we'll see where that goes. Um, I think that's everything. I want to thank you for watching this. Um, it's great having people in my life that I can engage with on this wonderful, wonderful art form of cinema. So until next year, this is Keaton's Oscar predictions and analysis essay in video form, and I'm going on and on because I'm on my friend's laptop and I have not been able to end this the moment I wanted to, but I am no editing expert, so this is just going to go up as is. Bye bye.